And just recently, India's silver imports from the United Arab Emirates went from $2.2 million between January and April 2023. That's it. That's all the import was, $2.2 million, to $1.44 billion over the same period in 2024. That's a 654-fold increase in 1 year because they are able to import from the UAE without the high tariffs. Silver is being accumulated by countries. China, as I mentioned, is the second largest producer in the world. They're just not talking about it because gold is the only other tier one. And to think these countries want to be upfront about what they're doing in a strategic, critical asset like this is stupid.
The voracious accumulation of gold by central banks has been making headlines since 2022, when countries led by China, Turkey, and India started increasing their gold reserves at the fastest pace in decades. Gold has been one of the best performing assets in the world in 2024, thanks to the voracious appetite for the yellow metal by the world's apex banks. According to the World Gold Council, central banks may be on track to buying as much or even more gold than they did in 2022 and 2023. Global official gold reserves increased by 290 metric tons in the first quarter of the year, the largest first quarter increase in over 24 years, and 69% higher than the 5-year quarterly average. The gold accumulation has continued in the second quarter, with central bank respondents to various surveys revealing they plan to buy even more gold for their reserves within the next 12 months. While the accumulation of gold is so widely reported and has had visible effects on prices, the same cannot be said for silver. Not only is the grey metal's price still far from its previous all-time high, unlike gold, which has made all-time highs several times this year, but there is little report about central banks' accumulation of silver. Yet, popular bullion dealer and president of Miles Franklin Precious Metals, Andy Schectman, is convinced that central banks are not only buying gold, they are also buying silver by using the Western suppression of the much smaller silver market to stealthily increase their silver reserves. Andy is certain that there is much more secrecy around silver accumulation because central banks have caught on to the Western manipulation of the silver market and are ready to beat them at their own game. In a recent interview with Jesse Day at Commodity Culture, Andy shares a brilliant analysis of the accumulation of silver by central banks, particularly India, which is on a mission to create a massive solar panel project. Andy talks about how the exchanges are being bled dry of silver, why silver's true value is way higher than the current price, and why the all-at-once moment that would see silver's price skyrocket wildly is much closer than many people think. As we present clips from the video, please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications bell to be instantly notified every time we upload a video. Thanks for the support, and enjoy the video.
If you look, there's a company right now in China called Zhongkai Futures. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. And Zhongkai Futures is, I believe, a proxy for the PBOC. And they are challenging like JP Morgan. They have massive long positions and they're making a fortune. Their stock price has doubled in the last year or less. And they are making a fortune by standing for delivery. And as the price goes higher, as of last week, they had 31,000 long positions in gold with a margin account of 21 billion yuan or 31 tons of gold and massive long positions in silver as well. Silver is being drained by all of the exchanges around the globe by these very, very big players who are pushing back against what you just said. We just saw 5.71 million ounces in the first days of the August contract taken off of COMEX by a customer account called PTG, of relatively unknown who the hell they are. And then we saw the weekly inventory report off the Shanghai Gold Exchange showed that 215,355 kilograms of silver were taken last week off of the Shanghai Metals Exchange. That's 7.6 million ounces. That's the weight of 60 adult African elephants or 108 cars. This is something that is happening. And yeah, I do think that to an extent, there are some players that may have been asked politely to cash settle rather than stand for delivery. But there is no question, none that the price of silver is being wickedly manipulated. And as I said earlier, 8 banks hold the largest concentrated short position in any commodity ever traded on COMEX. What the hell for? It's a tiny little market, and it's done for a reason. Yes, the real price of silver, no one has any idea what it truly is. And I don't think anyone has any clue how high this will go, but my feeling is higher than anyone thinks possible. Look, just right now, if you take gold at 24.62 and divide it by 42, that's the average price that we've seen for the past 100 years. That is 24.62 divided by 31.30. That's $78.60. That's where it should be if you use the average price. Take the 24.62 and divide it by 7 when it's coming out of the ground at, that's $352. So silver should be way, 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 way higher. And I think before it's all said and done, as these nations, and India, to your point, is accumulating silver. Over 700 million ounces they've bought in the past couple of years, and from the West, right? And that's 11 times, 12 times what the COMEX registered category has right now. If we believe the LBMA numbers, where they say they have 800 million, of which 300 million belong, or 500 belongs to the ETFs, 300 is available. Well, that's 2.5 times what they have available. And just recently, India's silver imports from the United Arab Emirates went from $2.2 million between January and April 2023. That's it. That's all the import was, 2.2 million, to 1.44 billion over the same period in 2024. That's a 654-fold increase in 1 year, because they are able to import from the UAE without the high tariffs. Silver is being accumulated by countries. China, as I mentioned, is the second largest producer in the world. They're just not talking about it because gold is the only other tier 1. And to think these countries want to be upfront about what they're doing in a strategic, critical asset like this is stupid.
Various legendary investors, from Rick Rule to Jim Rogers, have described silver as the opportunity of a century, a generational play that will absolutely take off as soon as the Western manipulation ends. According to Andy Schectman, the suppression of silver's price is backed by Western powers, big commercial banks, hedge funds, other institutional investors, and possibly even the military-industrial complex, which has the full backing of the US government. These are the same powers that back the debt-based fiat system. In fact, they are able to do things like manipulating silver prices through this very faulty fiat system. Fortunately, a new world order is starting, and experts almost unanimously agree that the Western-backed fiat system is near its inevitable end. Andy believes its death will lead to the birth of Bretton Woods III, a commodities-backed global financial system that will be centered around gold and silver. Let's get back to the interview.
Gold is held on every central bank balance sheet in something as ironic as the gold revaluation account. That's the name of it. They will revalue gold, and by proxy, they will revalue silver. And I think it's right. I mean, to some degree, silver is being revalued slowly in China. They've already got it $4 an ounce higher than in the West to arbitrage whatever isn't nailed down. That's why they're buying gold mines, silver mines, oil refineries, all of these commodities they're buying because they're critical. And all of the deals they're striking on the Belt Road, which amounts to 75% of human population already, 50% of global GDP. All of the countries on there are resource rich and underdeveloped. Look at the countries that they are inviting into BRICS. They're all massively resource rich, and most of them underdeveloped or have very key shipping lanes or trade routes within their borders or around their countries in the shipping lanes of the oceans. Yeah, it's huge. And you know, look at Peru. They're part of the Belt Road, the third largest producer of silver in the world. Mexico said they're interested in joining BRICS. They haven't done anything about it. The first largest. Number 2 is China. Jim Willey, a guy who I put a lot of faith in, although his takes are sometimes very controversial, but often very brilliant and oftentimes very much before anyone else, says that they are trying to put together, China is a OPEC style cartel of silver producers around the globe. So yes, these countries understand that silver is depleting in nature. To his point, is mostly found in byproduct metal, mining, meaning the companies that mine it all together can't find it, or it's too expensive to pull it out. Why do you think China's making a big deal about it and India making a big deal about it? Of course. And that's why they're not going to be overly transparent in what they're doing, because this is, every man for themselves, if you will. Yeah, I think that's exactly why China's going around the world buying as many silver mines as they can, because it's disappearing and it's needed, and its value has been masked by the Western suppression. And that Western suppression has given all of these countries who are now wealthy and sophisticated, they were third world 25 years ago. Now they're wealthy, sophisticated, coordinated, and pissed off. And they are doing things methodically and using the suppression of the Western paper markets, the stupidity of the Western markets, to drain the exchanges of all the world's commodities and to buy them at subsidized prices. And once there's no bid and the Western exchanges are exposed for what they are, fraudulent, rehypothecated Ponzi schemes, then you will see the Shanghai Metals Exchange, the Dubai Metals Exchange, the Moscow Metals Exchange, all of these exchanges in the East, the South, well, they will take over for the COMEX, the fraudulent and disgraced and discredited fraudulent COMEX and LBMA. And, it's not just precious metals. Look, the Chinese bought the LME, the London Metals Exchange, all the base metals, whereby those metals are mined and they find silver. Well, they own that. And, they're going around the world in the Belt Road, in the BRICS, buying all of these commodities and mining them in their own countries. They are the number 2 largest producer of silver in the world, the largest producer of gold in the world. Silver is the most undervalued asset on the planet. It is the opportunity of a generation. And I don't say that lightly. So the price is the greatest tool of misdirection. The fundamentals, if you are able to do the digging and spend the time researching, not going to find it easily on Western media, but go do a little digging, and I think you'll come away saying, yeah, it's a hell of an opportunity, no question about it.
It's no secret that we're in the midst of a major geopolitical shift, one that might shift power away from the West to the East, or at least create a multipolar world where various regions influence global politics and economics. Andy and other resource analysts are convinced that this new world order will diminish the dominance of fiat currencies like the dollar, elevating commodities such as gold and silver to their rightful place and value in the global economy. This commodities-backed system will offer far greater stability and reliability compared to the current debt-based fiat system, which is prone to inflation and manipulation. He suggests that the groundwork for this shift is already laid, and once everything aligns, we could see gold and silver prices skyrocketing. What are your thoughts on the real value of gold and silver? Do you agree with Andy's predictions about the end of silver price manipulation? Let us know in the comments below. For more content like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and explore our other videos. Thanks for tuning in.